Emily Dawson gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. She exhaled, a shaky breath misting up the chilly Vermont air. After years in bustling Boston, the quiet of her new home in Oak Haven was a balm to her soul. The town, nestled amongst rolling hills and vibrant fall foliage, felt like a postcard from a simpler time. Emily had bought a charming, albeit slightly dilapidated, Victorian house on the outskirts of town. It was a fresh start, a chance to rebuild her life after a painful divorce. She was starting over, embracing the tranquility of rural life and her new job teaching history at the local high school.
Emily, you sure about this place? It's pretty out in the sticks.
I need this, Ben. It's peaceful here. A chance to start over.
Helping her unpack was her brother, Ben. He had driven up from the city with her, his beat-up pickup truck trailing behind her own car. Ben was a comforting presence, a stark contrast to the quiet and mystery that seemed to hang in the air of her new home. As they unloaded the last of the boxes, Emily felt a sense of peace settle over her. This was it. This was her new beginning. Little did she know, her tranquil new life was about to take a sharp turn into the unsettling and the eerie. The old Victorian house felt empty. To chase away the silence, Emily convinced a reluctant Ben to drive into town with her.
Let's find some interesting antiques. This place needs some character.
Fine, but only if we can find a coffee shop afterwards.
Oak Haven's main street was a charming collection of brick buildings with brightly painted signs. It didn't take them long to find Hawthorne's Antiques, a shop tucked between a bakery and a hardware store. The shop window was crowded with dusty relics, old dolls, chipped china, and faded photographs. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of dust and old wood. Sunbeams filtering through dusty windows illuminated a labyrinth of furniture and trinkets. It was like stepping back in time. Emily, a history enthusiast, was in her element.
Look at this. Imagine the stories behind all these pieces.
She ran her hand over a chipped gramophone, imagining its past. Ben, however, was less than enthused. He wandered aimlessly, his disinterest evident, but Emily was captivated, and then she saw it, tucked away in a dimly lit corner. A grandfather clock, its dark wood gleaming ominously. The grandfather clock stood tall and imposing. Its dark wood, polished to a high sheen, reflected the dim light of the shop. Intricate carvings depicting swirling patterns and strange, almost sinister faces adorned its surface. The pendulum swung back and forth with a slow, hypnotic rhythm. Emily felt an inexplicable pull towards it. She ran a hand over its smooth surface, tracing the intricate carvings. The wood was cool to the touch, sending a shiver down her spine. There was an air of mystery about the clock, a sense of power that both fascinated and unsettled her.
It's beautiful.
She murmured, her voice echoing strangely in the quiet shop. She looked up at the clock face. The hands were frozen at 11:59, a minute shy of midnight. A sense of unease washed over her. It was as if time itself were holding its breath.
Let's ask about it.
She said, turning to Ben, who was busy checking his phone. But something about the clock made her hesitate. It was as if a voice deep within her whispered a warning. But Emily, captivated by the allure of the antique, ignored it. Mabel Hawthorne, the shop's owner, emerged from the back room. She was a frail woman, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, her eyes sharp and intelligent. She reminded Emily of a wizened owl observing the world with quiet wisdom.
You have a good eye. That's a fine piece. Been in my family for generations.
She peered at Emily over her spectacles, her gaze unwavering.
But it's not for the faint of heart.
What do you mean?
Emily, intrigued, pressed for more, her fingers unconsciously tracing the outline of the clock's carved face. Mabel hesitated, her gaze flickering to the clock and back.
There are whispers, stories. They say the clock, it messes with time, that it's cursed.
She chuckled, a dry, brittle sound.
Old wives' tales, I'm sure.
But her eyes, filled with a strange mix of fear and fascination, betrayed her words. Emily, torn between apprehension and fascination, knew then that she had to have the clock.